great to have you on the show. First things first then, what do you make of the speech?
Great, policy heavy. People want to know what a Labour government would do, and I think Keir did a great job today on saying exactly what we'd be doing.
It's quite similar to Tories, isn't it?
Well, no, one exciting policy that I'm personally very thrilled with, because I've been campaigning on it for years, and that's building on the ungreen green belt.
Right.
We think there's approximately enough space next to London train stations to build 1 million of homes, and that would it would transform our city.
OK, what do you make of that? Do you think that he's presented a bright vision for Britain that people can go and get behind?
Absolutely. I would say it was the speech of the next Prime Minister. He was speaking to the country, and as well as being very good in policy, it was full of hope and aspiration, the very thing that's lacking in this country.
He said that a big one is that he's going to transform and reform the NHS. He said, look, I know a lot of people don't necessarily like the word reform, but there you go. How do you think he's really actually going to do that?
Well, I think the main thing is going to be about the faster application of technology in the NHS. He did say that we would be working 7 days a week, we'd be rewarding people properly, but it's about using AI, new treatments, new technologies, and bringing them to patients much faster.
OK, and one of the key points that he's going to fund a lot with is non-doms, OK? I'm just wondering if he's not necessarily telling the full truth about non-doms. So £3.5 billion roughly is what the Labour Party is saying they think they can raise. That does come from a study from the University of Warwick. And no casting no aspersions on the University of Warwick, I'm just saying it's a university study. And if non-doms leave, so specifically 500 of them who are right at the core of this, you're shaking your head, why wouldn't they? I'd leave.
Well, I don't think that's going to make them leave, isn't it? This is a benefit.
£6.5 million a year extra in tax.
This is a group of people who don't normally get this benefit in other countries. Is the Prime Minister's wife going to leave?
They can get a very similar benefit in Spain, in Portugal.
Is the wife really going to leave? And then that brings us to the other issue, Patrick, doesn't it? If Labour, if Keir Starmer got up there and said he was going to do all these things and didn't tell you where the money was coming from, you would rightly say, oh, look, Labour's promising all these things and just not telling you where the money's
I do appreciate that. I think that's kind of the point, though, which is that I'm wondering whether or not there is going to be enough to pay for it there, and whether or not Labour are going to be left with, let's be honest with you, not a lot of money in the kitty, are they really? Could that be a problem for Labour, do you think?
Well, I think what he said was we're going to grow the economy. This is one area where we're going to tax to prime some of our activities. The other half of it is making the economy function properly.
He didn't mention, sorry, that was wrong. He said 5 words on immigration, one of which was of, apparently. Is that a problem for him, do you think?
No, because I think the problem with immigration is with the Tories. They spend so much time talking about it and fantasising about schemes that won't work that they're creating a problem for themselves. The issue about immigration is separating genuine asylum from non-genuine, and that means faster processing, probably outside the country, and tackling the gangs. If they did that, we wouldn't have an issue.
OK, do you think that was a misstep? I know a lot of people would have concerns about what Labour might mean for immigration, both legal and illegal. He didn't address that today.
But a really important issue, but he has addressed it in the past. He's made it clear that he is not in favour of the fantasy of Rwanda, and that he would ensure that our immigration system works. I know, Steve knows, because of our casework mailbag, is that there aren't... The applications aren't getting processed. The government can't remove anybody who's had a failed claim. The whole infrastructure in the Home Office has completely collapsed. And what we see is their government desperate for headlines, but not actually doing the day job. It's like a pitch
to get us out of the ECHR, isn't it, this?
No, it's about doing the job properly, of actually processing those claims and actually removing people who fail, just as we did last time Steve and I were in a Labour government.
OK, there is a sense, clearly, that this is the speech of a future Prime Minister. Rather, unfortunately for him, it will go down in history as him being covered in glitter for a bit of it, which will look weird out of context in about 10 years' time. A shocking security breach there, I thought. I just wonder what's going to have to be done with this, because I fear that it's a matter of time before someone gets really badly hurt.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to spend any time on this exhibitionist clown. Let's not give him any attention. But there should be some concerns about the security and about the speed with which it was handled, yes.
Yeah.
And didn't he handle it well? I mean, it must have been terrifying, mustn't it? The first seconds you don't know where this is coming from. And I'd also like to give a really big shout out to one of our heroes in the Labour Party who's worked for Labour for 30 years. It was Carol Linforth who got up on that stage and got his jacket.
Right, OK. One more question for you before we have to go. Net zero. You're, I believe, quite opposed to ULEZ, is that right?
Yeah.
Is that not at odds with Keir Starmer and Sadiq Khan, for example? So how do you square that?
Well, I don't think so, because Labour wants to achieve net zero in the quickest possible time, as Keir said. But also, as a party, we're not generally in favour of regressive taxes, which hits the poorest most. And that's, for me, the issue. I see people who work as carers, I see people who have their own business, who can't afford to use their cars and do the jobs that we really need them to do. So I'm really concerned for the livelihoods of quite a number of my constituents.
OK. Both of you, thank you very much. Really enjoyed this. Great to have you on the show. Hope to chat to you again very, very soon.